In this episode, we discuss the Malayalam film industry where a challenge has been launched against a male-dominated leadership. We also talk about Operation Mahadev, the latest security operation in Jammu and Kashmir. But we begin today with the collapse of a primary school roof in Rajasthan that killed 7 students. Hi, I'm Ichha Sharma, and you're listening to 3 Things, the Indian Express news show. On the 25th of July, tragedy struck a government primary school in Piplodi village in Rajasthan's Jhalawar district. The roof of a classroom collapsed, killing 7 students and critically injuring 8 others. Officials said that 35 children had to be pulled out from under the debris. Now, in the hours that followed, disturbing videos began circulating showing distraught parents grieving their loss. The incident sparked protests, with locals blocking the Jhalawar Manohar Thana road and demanding 1 crore rupees for the families of the deceased and 50 lakh for the injured. But in response, Rajasthan Education Minister Madan Dilawar announced 10 lakh rupees each for the families of the children who died, along with a government job for 1 member of each affected family. Now, to learn more about how this happened, the condition of the survivors, and where the investigation now stands, my colleague Niharika Nanda is joined by the Indian Express's Parul Kulshreshtha, who has been reporting on the story.
Parul, can you describe to us what exactly happened on Friday when the roof of the school building collapsed?
So on Friday at around 7:30, the upper primary school from class 1 to 8, which is in Jhalawar district in a small village named Pipalodi. So in that village at around 7:30, the students started arriving for the school and they were getting ready for the school prayer in the morning. And the teachers were having their breakfast outside in the courtyard. So the children who were inside the classroom, they started calling the teachers and they told them that there is debris that is falling from the roof. And a lot of children said that, we think that the roof may collapse. And the teachers did not take it seriously and they told the students that you're just giving excuse not to attend the class, just stay inside. And the teachers forcefully scolded them and put them inside. The teacher went out and at around 8:30, the wall collapsed and the roof collapsed of that school. And immediately there was a big chaos in the village and the houses that are nearby that school, the school is in the center of the village. The people immediately ran towards it and they told me that the sound was like kind of a blast that happened in the village and they immediately ran towards the school and this building absolutely collapsed on the students.
And what happened after that? What was the immediate action that was taken in order to help the children?
So the first action was taken by the villagers themselves because they were the one nearby and immediately villagers started, pulling children out who were nearby or who were on the surface. And there were a lot of students who were in the courtyard or, maybe going to the washroom and all. They were saved. They ran back to their home and they called their parents and everyone that, school building has collapsed. So everyone from the village started, pulling the children out, whoever they can. But a lot of children were buried deep inside and they immediately called the police officers. And there was a gypsy of police that was taking a morning gush of that area and they got a call and they reached over there and they were able to pull out some children and then they called up a JCB that was working in the nearby village. They called that JCB and through that, because there were a lot of big pattiyan bolte hain, the big slabs that are used on the roof. Because of that, a lot of children were, previously injured and many of them died because of those slabs. And to pull those slabs, they had to call a JCB and that JCB worked for an hour or 2 hours and they were able to pull out all the children who were there and around 32 children were present in that school that day, out of which 7 died and 11 were referred to the Jhalawar hospital, the district hospital that is 2 hours from the village because they were seriously injured and 5 of them are still in the ICU and 11 children were referred to the primary health center which is in the Manohar Thana, which is just 10 kilometers from the village. So they referred them to there but they were not previously injured. They were saved. So they were the survivors.
And Parul, what action has been taken by the authorities so far and how has the state government reacted to this?
So the news just broke on the social media and everywhere and Madan Dilawar, who is the education minister, immediately on that same day, he went to the village and, met the survivors and who were in the Jhalawar district. The state government, first of all, suspended the 5 teachers who were that day working in the school. because they said that it was lack of negligence on their part. Then a 5-member committee under the district chief officer of the Jhalawar district have been set up to investigate how this building that has collapsed. When I asked the collector that was this building under their surveillance, or maybe they have received any complaint regarding this building that it is in a dilapidated condition. So the collector said that they had no information regarding this building and they are still investigating, and this committee will actually find out what are the causes of this accident and who are responsible, and why wasn't this building was under the scanner of the government. So the government has did these kind of steps, and also the FIR has been registered against the teachers who were present in the school. So that is like till now what the government has done.
Right. And could you talk a bit about the 7 children who passed away? And since you also spoke to their parents, how have they been coping at this time?
So I went to the village yesterday. There was like a very sad wave in the entire village. People were mourning, and you can hear the cries of ladies from like on the roadside as well, because they were like every house of the victim was filled with a lot of people, and their mothers were crying a lot. The worst thing was about a couple who lost their only 2 children, Meena and Kana. One was 8 years old, the daughter, and Kana was 6 years old. So they lost both their children, and the thing is, mother has done the operation that through which she cannot have more children. So now she was also worried about that she cannot have kids, and she has already lost 2 of her children. So her entire life was just taken away from her. And every house was grieving in its own manner. Harish, one of the students who died, he used to live just adjacent to the school, and his grandmother collapsed, but his brother was also injured in the incident. There was this one girl, Payal, she died in the school collapse building. And the sad thing was I was talking to her family, and the family told me that there are 3 sisters. She was the middle one, and her youngest sister Anuradha is still admitted to the ICU ward in Jhalawar district. She's also not well. So the mother told me that Payal wanted to study further, and she wanted to get admission in a private school. So she was telling her parents that I want to study further and I want to go or become a government servant. So at least send me to a different or better school. So her parents were very distressed that maybe we should have listened to her, we should have sent her to a better school and all. There was another girl, Priyanka, who was one of the 7 sisters of her parents, and she was living with her aunt in the Piplodi village. And her aunt used to tell me that she wanted to get out of the village. She used to go every day to school. The aunt told me that even if we used to tell her that there is a lot of rain that is happening, it's too cold or too hot, it's not possible for you to go to school, but she would always go to school every day, and she would always finish her homework. The aunt told me that she wanted to become a teacher and she wanted to get out of the village. She had the dream to become something different than the women of a family. So, a lot of kids had their own aspirations, and now it was all gone away because of this incident. And the parents are still not able to, accept the fact that this happened to them.
And we understand that the road outside the SRG hospital, where the critical cases are being treated, it actually had to be repaired. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
So I went to the SRG hospital day before yesterday, and there I talked to the staff members and everyone. But I reached in the evening. By evening, there were a lot of videos of SRG hospital just, calling a road roller, and they repaired the entire road within the hospital premises. The hospital staff told me that when this incident happened and, they got a call from officials that children are being transported to Jhalawar district hospital, they knew that the case is very big. So they called up every hospital staff, every hospital member, doctors, nurses, cleaning staff, security guards, everyone was called up. You have to be in the hospital 24/7. The entire hospital was cleaned. The chairs were cleaned. The fans were cleaned. The furniture was cleaned. Toilets and everything was repaired. And the staff was told to be on alert. And because the VVIP were coming, Vasundhara Raje, former minister, and current MP of Jhalawar, Dushyant Singh, Madan Dilawar, the education minister, and a lot of, dignitaries and all those VVIP members are coming. So to prevent any form of, scolding from them, to avoid that, they just immediately just washed off everything and just repaired the entire road of the hospital and everything. They just wanted to be able to present a good face to them. So that was there that happened. It was very unfortunate, to be honest, because they waited for this long to do this. And Manohar Thana CHC, the primary health center, the doctors over there told me that parents started coming and just, they had their children in their arms. They were coming from bike and whatever vehicle they were able to get and was available that time to them. And they were crying a lot, and all the doctors just sprang into action. But 6 children were brought dead. 7th died in the Jhalawar district hospital. The doctors just explained it to me that when those children were brought to me and I just told the parents that they passed away and we cannot do anything. The parents were not able to accept the fact that this happened because, it takes a lot of time to digest that your child is not there anymore. And Anurag Meena, he was the pediatrician over there and he told me that it was such a chaos that time. We were not able to handle anything. And we immediately referred the seriously injured patients to the Jhalawar district hospital where there were better facilities.
And Parul, what about the children who are under critical care right now? What do we know about their condition?
So 5 to 7 patients, I met their family members at the Jhalawar district hospital who are still under intense care. And there were a lot of parents who were crying. They said that, they were not able to know anything. 1 or 2 children who are in the hospital, they are so traumatized. Chunky, there's this girl, 12 years of age. Her father, Badrilal, he told me that he doesn't want to take his daughter back to the village. He wants to stay at the CHC for at least 3-4 days so that the environment of the village is cooled down, because he said that his daughter is so traumatized that she's literally still hearing the voices of those people who were crying that time. Even though she was saved and she had just few scratches, but she's still like, Papa, aisa kaise ho gaya? Mere ko aawazein aa rahi hain. She's talking like that. So he was like, I cannot take her back to that village anymore, at least for some time.
And you earlier mentioned that the 5 teachers who were in the school that day were suspended. But we understand that the teachers' union is against this action?
So the teachers' union told me that, even the villagers told me that they had already written to the Sarpanch and informed the Sarpanch over the years that their school building is not good. And the villagers claimed that 3-4 years back, there was a tender that was passed and around 2 lakh was sanctioned for the school repair. But the building was so bad that they had to put a plastic sheet on the roof because it was leaking in monsoon season. So that was that the teachers association said that it is not a teacher's responsibility to repair the school. It is actually, there are engineers of the government education department who survey the school, who always make a list of schools that needs urgent care and urgent repair. Why aren't they responsible? And why is a teacher made a scapegoat in all this? Because he is there to just teach. And even if the building is bad and they can, call the students and teach them under a tree or in the courtyard, it is not possible if it is raining very bad or, it is a very high temperature, especially in Rajasthan. So it is not the teacher who is responsible. It is the authorities who survey the school and the engineers who are under whom the school comes. They are responsible. Why didn't they inform the administration about the repair that the school needed? So that was their point of view, and they objected to the suspension of the teachers.
Yeah, and what stands out is that according to the collector, he had no information about the school building being damaged, despite the school teachers claiming that they had informed the Sarpanch about it.
Yeah, a collector claimed that they have a list of buildings that need urgent care and repair in the district. But he said that the school's name was not there. He told me that they are trying to get hold of through investigative committee. They want to get to know about what happened and how the school was not part of that list. And they're investigating as per what they claim, that they're investigating and some action will be taken soon.
And Parul, talk about the concerns this raises, because this, after all, is a government school.
Parents all over the state have now, come forward. A lot of photographs are going viral on social media, and a lot of people told me in the surrounding villages that even the schools in their village is also not in a good condition. So they are actually very scared that this kind of incident can be repeated in another school. Another thing that after this has happened, the villagers and the students who were studying in the school have become very traumatized and scared. So government has announced that they will repair the school and rebuild the school again. But the parents were telling me, the students were telling me that they cannot go back to the same building or on the same land, because they said that, we saw a lot of death on that land. So we cannot go back to that school again. They have to make or build a different school at a different place, because this area is, they say that the souls of the children who died are still in that area. So they said we cannot live in that or go to that school again. So that's the post-traumatic depression, you can say, it is still there in the children, and other people who have heard the news all over the state are now concerned about the safety of their own kids to send them to a government school, because a lot of them, thousands of them, are in a very bad condition.
And Parul, how do we see this case moving forward now? What are the steps that the government is planning to take?
See, there are a lot of investigative agencies and investigative committees that are set up by the government and everyone, but I don't know what will be the result of it. The initial investigation done by the Chief District Education Officer, he said that because of the rain, the school building was not able to sustain it and it started leaking. And because of the heavy rain, this incident had happened initially. But I'm hopeful that they will find out some solution to this, whatever happened, and the guilty people will be charged. But I think this case has drawn attention from the government to the urgent repair of school buildings. State government has announced that every year by June 15th, every building that is will be listed in the entire state, whether it's a hospital or a school or any government department that needs urgent repair or in a very bad condition that it is not sustainable for human living. So those buildings will be listed, and every year before June 15, they will be repaired.
And now we move to Kerala's film industry. Earlier this month, one of the few prominent women producers in Kerala, Sandra Thomas, walked into the office of the Kerala Film Producers Association, or KFPA, clad in a black parda. With that act, she filed her nomination to contest the upcoming election for the president's post in the association, scheduled for 14th of August. Now, this is not just a routine development in a trade body election. It is the latest in a series of confrontations between her and the current KFPA leadership. A leadership, she says, has long been controlled by a coterie of 10 to 15 men who, in her words, offer no space or voice to women. But this friction is not new. Thomas's standoff with the KFPA escalated in late 2024 after she questioned the silence of the office bearers over the Hema Committee report, a report that investigated the working conditions and discrimination faced by women in the Malayalam film industry. In response, she received a show cause notice, and the KFPA deemed her explanation to it unsatisfactory and expelled her from the body in November 2024. To understand the charges against the KFPA leadership and where the case stands legally, we are joined by the Indian Express's Narayanan S, who reported on the story. Narayanan, begin by telling us a little bit about the Kerala Film Producers Association and how significant is it within the Malayalam film industry.
So this Kerala Film Producers Association is a group of producers who have been working with the Kerala film industry. I mean, it's like any other trade union within the Malayalam film industry, like the Film Employees Federation of Kerala or like the Association of Malayalam Movie Artists. So there are so many trade unions or association of people working within the industry. So this producers body is also just another group like that.
Right, and we understand that Sandra Thomas has filed her nomination for the president's post of this association. But can you talk a little bit about her?
Yeah, so she was part of a production group with one another person called Vijay Babu. They were together for a long time producing several films in the period between 2012 to 2017, if I'm right. So they produced so many films and then they split due to some disagreements between the two, and after that she launched her own production company called Sandra Thomas Productions, but it hasn't produced so many films after that. After 2017 it hasn't produced so many films, maybe 2 or 3 films it has come up with. And she has already appeared in some films also, like Amen in 2013, and then Sakkariyada Garpanigal. That's another film that came out in 2013. So she has acted in a few movies also, and their production company was a very successful one. They made few decent films that did really well in the box office in the early 2010 periods.
And Narayanan, we know that the tensions are not new. So what does she allege about the way KFPA has been functioning?
So her main allegation is that it has become a monopoly or coterie of 10 or 15 people who are controlling everything within the group. So that's her main allegation. She also says that it is very much male dominated. There is very little female representation within the association. All the major office bearers are men. So women producers don't have much voice within the industry is her main allegation. So her intention to contest the election is that if she manages to win the election, she would come in and then she would rectify the issues. She would address the issues of the women producers. And also there is an institutional decay that has happened within the producers body as per her allegations. So she wants to correct that and help more producers and bring in some like new projects to help people who are not that well off within the producers group. So to help such people, she plans to have several initiatives, but she hasn't spoken about explicitly what she plans to do. By contesting the election, she wants to address these issues.
Right, and we know that she has also filed a police complaint against a few office bearers of the association, including President Onto Joseph, Secretary B. Rakesh, and even executive committee members. So, can you talk about the events that, led up to this case, and where do things stand legally?
Okay, so what she alleged was that there were some derogatory comments made about her by a few office bearers of this producer's body. So she went ahead and filed a police complaint, and the police filed a case and filed an FIR against these people. And a charge sheet has already been filed in this case. I think if I'm right, it was filed in April this year. So the trial in this case in Kochi is yet to begin. So her main contention is that when such people who are accused in a criminal case are contesting for an election to a body such as this, even if it's technically fine, it's not fair from a moral point of view to contest an election when you are being charged in a criminal case such as this. So, the trial hasn't started yet. So that's where the case stands now.
And so, how has the current KFP leadership responded to these allegations?
Yeah, so the people who have been named in the allegation haven't responded after she filed the nomination for her candidature. They haven't come on record and said anything. But Suresh Kumar, one of the office bearers of this Film Producers Association, so he has come on record and he has said that these are all publicity stunt by Sandra Thomas, saying that these allegations are fabricated, and he was saying that his fellow office bearers of this producer's body, they can easily contest the election. There is nothing that prevents them from contesting the election, because in India, he says that even politicians have several criminal cases against them and they still go and file their nomination for an election to become a public representative. So his argument is that there is nothing that prevents his fellow office bearers to contest the election for a post to the film producers body. So all these things should be considered while making allegations against a body that has, as per his version, has no corruption allegation of a single rupee against it.
And in the end, we look at a recent encounter on the outskirts of Srinagar. Yesterday, 3 militants were killed in an encounter with security forces in the Dachigam forest area on the outskirts of Srinagar. As reported by the Indian Express's Naveed Iqbal, the operation, codenamed Operation Mahadev, was launched in the upper reaches of Harwan following a technical alert indicating militant presence. According to the Indian Army, contact with the militants was established early during the search operation, resulting in an intense firefight. While 3 bodies were recovered from the site, the identities of the deceased have not yet been officially confirmed. Preliminary inputs shared with news agency PTI indicate that one of the militants killed may be Gibran, who was allegedly involved in the October 2024 attack on the Sonmarg tunnel project at Gagangir. That attack resulted in the deaths of 7 people, including a doctor. Authorities are also investigating whether one of the 3 individuals killed in the current encounter is linked to the Pahalgam terror attack. Iqbal notes that the encounter follows a recent pattern of targeted operations in the region. Earlier this year, in May, similar operations were conducted in the Sopian and Avantipura areas of South Kashmir, where 3 militants were killed in each location. Security forces recovered 1 M4 carbine rifle, 2 AK series rifles and other ammunition from the site. Inspector General of Police Kashmir Zone VK Birdi confirmed that the operation was still ongoing and that it would be premature to release full details before its conclusion. According to PTI, the army launched the Harwan operation based on signals resembling the type of device used in the 22nd of April Pahalgam attack. That incident is under investigation by the National Investigation Agency, which concluded that all 3 attackers were Pakistani nationals. This finding revised earlier local police inputs that had identified 1 Kashmiri and 2 Pakistani suspects. Iqbal further reported that the NIA previously identified Suleiman Shah, alias Musa, as a key figure in both the Pahalgam and Sonmarg tunnel attacks. These overlapping investigations are informing the probe into the identities of those killed in the current operation. You were listening to Three Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Niharika Nanda and me, Ichha Sharma. If you like the show, do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. You can also recommend it to someone you think may like it, with a friend or in your family. This is the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcast or write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.